I mean, it's been a while, but after we got back from the bachelorette party, we never really got back into a groove of things. I blame the fire. So instead, I'm just going to do a rough draft of something else I want to talk about in the future. So in the early 2000s on Disney, there was this TV show called The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, where these two twins, Zack and Cody, lived at this hotel with their single mom. And in this hotel, there were multiple other teenagers and children who also did not have fathers. And by the end of the season, Mr. Moseby is basically their father figure. Sorry, season. I meant series. Because London Tipton, her father is like pretty much out of the picture. He's like a billionaire who doesn't pay attention to her except to give her money because he thinks that's how you buy affection, because that's how he bought the affection of his wives. Maddie's parents exist, but we never really see the Fitzpatricks. And the twins don't have a dad. They have multiple people who kind of act as adult male figures, but not really as a father figure. That's all Mr. Moseby. And I personally think that it's fascinating that they have a black man be a father figure in a prominent Disney television show. And I'm saying it like that because, this is a rough draft, and so I'll figure out how to say it less meh, blatantly. But also because in America, there is the stereotype that black men cannot be fathers because of, going back to Reagan and even further, racism for one, but also because black households are torn apart when the black father figures are removed and arrested because racism. And so I just think that it's fascinating that this Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Sweet Life on Deck, its sequel series, were the most watched shows on Disney for the longest time. And from what I'm thinking of, around the same time Cory in the House was on, along with That's So Raven, but that was before that. So just seeing this man take charge of all these fatherless children. No fatherless children in my lobby! Taking charge of all these fatherless children, being like, I will be their dad, even though he doesn't outright say that, he just gives off dad energy. And doing that's such a positive experience for black people, especially kids watching this show, and there not being a lot of media around that stars them. It was a really good choice. It was a very diverse show, and it was a really good choice to have Mr. Moseby be Mr. Moseby. And so I suppose that this is a rough draft, being hey, this is why having Mr. Moseby be, I can't remember his actor's name. I think his last name is Lewis. I can't think of the name, so this is why this is a rough draft. But having Mr. Moseby be Mr. Moseby and be black and be a father figure to these kids that don't have fathers in their lives is a good role model for children, but also for black kids who don't have dads in their lives. It's this is an example of what you can be and what you deserve. And it's good. And the very last episode of Sweet Life on Deck makes me cry because London just calls Mr. Moseby, says, if you have a problem, you can just call me. And she walks off screen, and then she calls him, but she's still on screen. She says, I miss you. And he says that he misses her too, and he's proud of her. Mr. Moseby is so good.